Hello my dear friends, you're on the Military Summary channel, and this short video we're going to discuss the most important events that took place during the previous night at the local time. And first we're going to start with Arijo, with the battle for Arijo, for the Bradley Square and so on. As you know, the Ukrainians yesterday and the day before yesterday made a significant number of attempts to attack in direction of Verbova. For these purposes, the Ukrainians were using their redeployed forces of 71st and everything that left from 82nd brigades. For this purpose, the Ukrainians during the previous weeks were trying to concentrate and to accumulate their forces in this area. But the thing is that the Russians controlled and saw everything, and while the Ukrainians were trying to concentrate their forces, the Russians were bombing and attacking them heavily. The Ukrainians had significant number of losses, but no matter the losses, they tried to continue, they tried to develop further, and some sources are saying that as a result of these clashes, those clashes that took place during the previous 2 days, the Ukrainians managed to develop their positions. The Ukrainians haven't managed to enter Verbova itself, but the Ukrainians managed to develop their positions to the south in this direction, and this is also very important progress and very important advances. Furthermore, exactly from this direction we got the first video, geolocated video, geolocated proofs that as a result of artillery strikes, drone strikes, the Ukrainians lost the first Marder. On this video we saw at least 2 armored vehicles, BMP-1 of Soviet production and Marder. So what the Ukrainians managed to achieve? First of all, when talking about Verbova and Novoprokopovka, Rabotina, these 3 settlements mainly use the same forces, the same operational reserves, and if there is a problem at one direction, the Russians try to redeploy some reserves to the critical direction, and so on. They try to be flexible and mobile, and for these purposes the Russians used to use this supply road, this one, and using this red line, the Russians were able to redeploy their forces from one positions to another and to get critical forces, critical mass to one direction from another, and to stabilize the front lines. But as you can see, according to the Ukrainian progress, we can increase the number of days, including the yesterday. We see that the Ukrainians, as a result of this offensive operation, managed to cut one of the Russian supply roads that goes between Verbova and Rabotina and Novoprokopovka, which of course reduced the Russian logistic possibilities. The Russians haven't launched their counter-offensive operation yet, and currently the Russians need to use another supply road that goes far to the south. And of course currently the timings for regrouping of forces between Novoprokopovka and Verbova has been increased probably twice, and of course this is not very good for the Russians. Furthermore, the Ukrainians captured the trenches, captured supply road, and currently the Ukrainians can use this area, these roads, these trenches to continue offensive operation in the southern Verbova direction, and this is exactly what the Ukrainians are trying and planning to implement today. So basically they will attack the settlement from 2 directions, from the south and from the west. Furthermore, the Russian sources published more videos from Vremivka tactical bridgehead. Today we got very interesting video, another video of long-range usage of missiles. On this video we see how the Russians discovered the Ukrainian ammo depot in the vicinity of Bogatyr, and as a result of missile strike that ammo depot was destroyed. And this is not the first case in a row. During the previous days the Russians published significant number of videos of air missile strikes, and as a result of those strikes the Ukrainians had significant losses. For example, a few days ago, in the same direction, in the same area, the Russians managed to discover and to destroy the headquarters and positions of temporary positions of 35th Marine Brigade, and as a result of that attack, significant number of Ukrainian troopers, Marine troopers, were killed. Let's increase the number of updates, and as you can see, that strike took place a little bit to the northeast in the settlement by the name of Petropavlovka. One more time, we can take a look at this video one more time. The Russians drones managed to discover the same situation as Bogatyr. The Russian drones that were flying above this territory managed to discover the Ukrainian positions, and after that the Russians started bombing and shelling this area with missiles and bombs. So we see that there is a real hole in air defense systems of Ukrainian forces. Nothing can stop the Russians, nothing can prevent the Russian missile strikes, and we understand that this is something new in the special military operation. The Ukrainians haven't get used to this situation when the Russians are able to attack their back positions, and so that's why there was unprotected, all these positions were unprotected. Currently the Ukrainians need more time to change their tactics, to build new strategy, and of course for these purposes they need more air defense systems, more missiles. And according to information we have, the United States of America is going to provide the Ukrainians new military aid, and the main package, the main part of the package is going to be for air defense systems and air defense missiles. Very interesting updates are coming from Durzinsk, or the Russians call the settlement by the name of Durzinsk. Today we got another video how the Russians somewhere at night of the local time discovered the Russian-Ukrainian positions, and after that the Russians started bombing and attacking this area heavily with something very heavy. Probably with missiles, very heavy missiles, or probably with FAB 500 bombs. And the thing is that since the beginning of the special military operation, we haven't been receiving a lot of updates from this territory. Just a few drone strikes, and when talking about this week, just during this week we got a lot of updates from this territory. For example, yesterday we discussed another video from the same direction, just 1 kilometer probably to the south. The Russians destroyed another ammo depot, or another concentration of Ukrainian forces with artillery strikes or missile strike or even bombs like FAB 500. And the thing is that this concentration of Russian fire is not accidentally. Obviously the Russians are planning to do something. We understand that if the Russians want to attack Konstantinovka, if the Russians want to encircle and to solve the issues Chasov Yar, Slaviansk, Kramatorsk, we understand that probably the best solution for the Russians is to attack from many directions in this area, and one of the direction is also to attack in direction of Konstantinovka, let's say from the south, and of course from Bakhmut itself in direction of Chasov Yar, Konstantinsk. So this should be a very complicated operation with encirclements and so on, and maybe these bombings of Durzinsk is a part of some assault operation in this direction. Currently the Russians have already launched artillery and bomb preparation of this territory. Now we are moving further. When talking about Bakhmut, Artyomovsk direction, there are no changes, just regular clashes and movements of the Ukrainians among the ruins in the settlement. The Russians control everything, and if they see Ukrainians, they start bombing and attacking them heavily using all types of artillery systems they have. So no changes. The Russians are not going to counterattack. This settlement will stay under Ukrainian control. As I understand, the Russians have different plans, and if the Russians are going to attack anyway, they're not going to attack in the direction of Klishevka. Very likely they will try to attack in the direction of Makarov, Kamenkovka, so from the north, and to encircle the Ukrainian forces by attacking Chasov Yar and Konstantinovka from the north. Very interesting video we got today from Kupinsk direction from the Ukrainian sources. On this video we see how the Ukrainians managed to upgrade light Humvee with multi-rocket launch system. You see that there is a small system on the roof on the top of car, and at some moment, at some second, this light vehicle started attacking the Russian positions with missiles. From one side, this is very interesting video because we see that the Ukrainians managed to upgrade very light Humvee, very fast, very flexible, very mobile type of machine, and create from just a machine, from just a car, to turn just a regular car to a multi-rocket launch system. From one side, this is very interesting, but from another side, we understand that the Ukrainians currently is lack of munition, lack of weapon, artillery systems, and we understand that they created this type of weapon not because of good life, because they have a lot of problems and they need to do something. And currently, because of like absence of normal military aid from the Western countries, the Ukrainians try to get as much as possible from the things and reserves they have. And currently, and we're gonna see this more and more every single day, the Ukrainians without any support will become more and more light army. We're gonna see the same story as we saw in Syria, when at first during the first phases we saw like clashes between normal like ISIS army and Syrian army, and by the end of the conflict we saw like light machines, light cars, like we just seen the video of Ukrainians that were upgraded to different types of weapon. So this is also very, very bad signal for the Ukrainians, because they're losing potential, they're using their mechanized potential, and currently they are forced to fight with the weapon they have. And that's it for today. Military Summary channel reminds you to condemn any violence in the world. Thank you for watching, subscribe to my channel, put your likes, join my Patreon, and have a good day. Bye bye.